Hold on. Hello, hello. Testing.
We've got a little bit of a special ceremony. We have what I like to call some celebration for an election. In particular, before we start, I do want to make mention that Maria, I said it before, but I want to keep saying it. I had nothing but absolute kudos for how this election was run. It was run smoothly. Even when there were questions, it was something where people felt like they were truly helped. It was a pleasant experience. You did a great job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Right? You did a great job. And they in particular had great kudos for your organization. So they, it really went well. And I think the people who, there's some people here even volunteered that just did a really good job. The other is before we start, I really want to give congratulations to Councilwoman Yule for her reelection. As people know, I kind of a little bit of a sap with this process with, the elections and particularly local areas. So I think it's a great mechanism for people to voice their support, and I congratulate you on your win. Larry, I see you out here, congratulate you on a well-run campaign. And I look forward to this next cycle, particularly because this is my last one. In any event, we have a special ceremony. Do I a little bit, or can I curtail it a little bit? So we have a presentation of the certificate of election and the administration of the oath of office for the office of mayor, council position 2. Council position 4, and council position 6. So, and then after we have that, we have what I call juice and cookies to celebrate, because we have one other thing we're celebrating, which is, if everybody heard in our last city council meeting at the very end, we elevated Paul Lopez to be the permanent city manager here at the city of Nassau Bay. So we've got a whole lot of things going on here, and I just want to make sure that was done too. So we have that here. Council will follow your lead. I believe we're the 4 who are there who do that. Let's come forward. Yeah. How are we doing this?
Just going in order.
Just in order? If he talks, and then we just say our specific stuff.
I'll tell you what, yes. Raise your right hand and repeat after me, but insert your name and office in the appropriate place.
I, Philip Johnson,
Each name. Everybody did? Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office of mayor
City Council Position 2.
of the city of Nassau Bay,
of the city of Nassau Bay,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And you have the 3.
Congratulations.
Before you go. Sure. Just give me all. Here. Oh, I see. What about that?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. Now I have to. So
we first.
I guess you are, aren't you?
First, yep. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that a general election held on May 2nd, 2026, Phil Johnson was duly elected mayor. So here's your certification of election.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I'm going to say something beforehand, because I got to give credit to Maria, is that she started asking about some of our traditions, and this is something we used to do years ago, and we want to make sure we reestablish that, so I thank you for doing that. So we're here, In the name and in the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that at a general election held on May 2nd, 2022, that Lucy Johanna Summer was duly elected council position number 2.
Thank you.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that at the general election held on May 2nd, 2026, Haley Ewell was duly elected council member, position 4. Last and not least, in the name and the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that at the general election held on May 2nd, 2026, Ashley Kluge was duly elected council member, position 6. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you for doing that.
Sarah, can I just get a?
Oh, sure.
Thank
Hang on,
you.
let's go.
Yeah, flash them.
Flash 'em.
Flash 'em. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vanessa.
Oh, I guess we should have.
Do it?
Yes.
Okay, we gotta give another one.
We didn't have the background.
We weren't centered.
You have to, I mean, I'm sorry. I got that one, Mayor, I got that one.
I'm sure you did. Hang on.
Very good, very nice. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to have a short recess so that we can all have and share some juice and cookies, so we can celebrate the 4 members that are here in their duly elected positions for the next 2 years, and also for ringing in the official, office of city manager for Paul Lopez. So it is 7:14. We'll recess until everybody's had their fill of juice and cookies. And tell us what we need to do, Maria.
So, everyone can just help themselves?
Help yourselves. We'll do it pretty quickly, but have some juice and cookies to celebrate. Come on, Walt. Come on.
I'm going.
Moving on, I'm going to move us back into our regular session. It is now 7:25. We're back into open session. And moving on the agenda, we move to the citizens' comments and public hearings. So if there's anybody who wants to make mention, this is your time. You get 3 minutes. You got to state your name and address. So it is now open. Anybody want to come up and speak? No? Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Sarah Horton just arrived.
All right. She didn't want to miss my presentation. Hey, everybody. Pete Soroka, 18226 Nassau Bay Drive, Maria Gunthan. Hey, I have four comments, and the first one is Artemis 3 is tomorrow is going to be announced, the new crew for Artemis 3, and there's going to be some other announcements as well. Lucy probably knows, but I heard that. I'm still flying my Artemis flag at my house on Nassau Bay Drive, so I'll leave it up for a little while longer, but I think that's pretty exciting, right? And that's good. And then I also saw there's another $300 million investment in NASA that got approved, that's happening. So that's comment number one. Comment number two, Paul, this one's for you. The driving in, I saw the newly painted water tower. I thought it was great. Where's Elias? Because I wanted to ask him, because does NASA have one S or two S's in it? I'm just teasing you. There he is. Elias, that was for you. I waited 2 weeks to give you that one. All right. And then number three is the water report came. And everyone see the water report. So some of you might remember that last year when the water report came, I came up and spoke, and I had made a suggestion that, we actually have a committee together because of water quality being so important. Paul wasn't officially the city manager yet, but he is now. But I still think that this is something that we should have somebody, perhaps council members with Paul in conjunction, to do a dive in this, because, I read it over, and, this is not our report, right? This is a general report, Paul, and I'm hoping that someone can put some more color on it. But if you look, it says overall, we meet all the standards and qualities, which is good, but there are some things that are very concerning, which is that since 2023, we have not had a test for lead or copper since 2023. So that makes you wonder, and then turbidity. And so with all the water and disturbances and what's happening, that I just feel as a citizen, this is important enough. I'm not saying we have a problem. I'm just saying that you got to watch this, because you've all heard what's happening down in Corpus Christi, right? And water in Texas, and the technology doing all this stuff is just going to eat up more water. New York City is losing 37 million gallons of water a day to seepage, to leakage. It says in this report, Paul, that we're losing 20.5% of water is our leakage rate. So I just think it's important, and I don't think we get enough eyes on that, so I'd like somebody to be interested in this more than even I am, right? Okay, that's it. And then my last comment, and more for Ashley, but on the Nassau Bay Community app, and I can tell you that, now that I'm retired, I have my little old iPhone, right, which is the old SE. This is all I carry with me everywhere I go and when I travel. Yes, I have a laptop. Yes, I have a desktop. Do I use it? I don't. This is all I have. And so with having things on here like the Nassau Bay app, which has also got a plug in the Compass Rose, I would just suggest, keep building this out, keep making it better, and more people will be using it. And I certainly have. And what I mostly use it for, and I told Ashley this, is for city calendar. so I know, when we have city council meetings, and then, I don't have to text Phil and ask him if we have Friday coffee or not, right? And then you know that it's there, so. That's it. Thanks, everybody. And I would like to see, like we're seeing here for 250-year 4th of July celebration, I would like to see more houses, decorated. Like, I got my house going pretty good with some yards decorations for 250, but we're getting closer. I'm not sure I see enough enthusiasm and patriotism. Yes, thank you. Yep, so appreciate that. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman, citizens. Name's Jim Stoa. Been a resident here since 83 or 84. Today I'm going to talk about what went on February 28th, and it's been an ongoing process. Can you hear me all? Can you hear me? Ongoing process for a long time with the Dead Boat Society. So the 28th of last Thursday, I think a week ago Thursday, we had a big event at Clear Lake Park. We raised up one 40-foot dead boat. 2 days prior to that, Harris County Precinct 2 raised up a dead boat. On the 28th, people were involved. Paul was there. A lot of dignitaries were there, including Garcia. He brought in their new program about cleaning up the trash, and also Don Buckingham, who is the president of the commissioner of the GLO. And we had just a lot of people there. Houston Economic, it was a great event, and pulled the boat out of the water. Now, one of the things about pulling these boats out of the water, it's not an ongoing process. We pulled the boat out that day. In the middle of the night, other boats appeared. Those boats cost lots of money to pull them out of the water. But it's a joint effort, I think, to get all that stuff out. And it's also about supporting the Nassau Bay community and the community at large. So one of those boats that was pulled out of the water ended up going out in the middle of the night and sinking again. So I think somebody's put some tags around that boat right now. But we all believe Nassau Bay is a good place to live and work in the waterfront community, and makes Nassau Bay a special place to live, boat, and be clean. Because some of these boats end up in the water, and you don't know what's inside the boat, pollutions. One thing we learned in the Dead Boat Society is that we cannot touch the boats until the GLO gives us permission. GLO gives us permission, then we can start doing some things. And they have to go through a process. So it's not an easy process, but it's they're the go-to people. They're the people at the state level. GLO happens to control 13 million acres of property. And Don Buckingham actually grew up in this area. So, Paul, you get a chance to meet her? I think you did, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people. It was really a neat event. And the next day, I went to the Harris County Precinct 2, went downtown to do the Buffalo Bio cleanup. The reason I'm mentioning that is because they come into our meetings, and we, as a Dead Boat Society, reached out through the BAHAP to get us in front of all the mayors so we could talk about the boating issues, so that all the cities would be on board. So they got there on board, and they've really been supportive of that. But the dead boats are full of contamination. God knows where they're coming from. They're coming from all over the place. It's not just our area. It's all over the nation, unfortunately. One of the things that happened with the dead boat in our area, you all have an example in front of you. Phil's got the big board. You all have a little example. I'm going to flip that over. That's a dead boat that came into Nassau Bay one year, 1 month ago. And that boat, I've got arrows there. You see the orange arrows, that's leading out of Nassau Bay. They come from Clear Lake Park, from the Clear Lake boat ramp. The white pins and the other markers indicate, I was sitting at the Nassau Bay Dog Park last May 12th. And a boat came around the corner, and you'll see it by Phil's got a better demonstration of the pins. That boat made a circle around the blind bend and ended up going up 150 feet into the park. The guys were arrested for boating while drunk. One of our citizens saw people on top of the vessel going through. They were loaded. You cannot take a 7,000-pound boat, put it on top of the riprap, unless that boat is going fast. And I got there with the volunteer fire department and saw blood inside the boat. and then later the boat was seized. But we have a neat community. I want to keep it that way, and that's part of our group of the Dead Boat Society. So the Dead Boat Society, for a long time, has moved around to different, moved around to different locations, but for the last 2 years, we've been meeting at the 1322 Space Park Boulevard, the Nassau Bay HOA's office area. So it's a great place to meet. Invite everybody to come there. Tim's been in one of our meetings. We did lifted up the boat at Villa Capri, I think, a while back. So we're on the way to do it. It just takes time and energy. Thank you guys very much.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? That's 3 times, so the citizens' comments and public hearing is closed at 7:35. Council members' comments.
All right. My wedding anniversary is tomorrow, but I will not be going to Europe. It's cocktail season, so. That's what my family does this time of year. Congrats again to Larry and Haley. You guys did a phenomenal job. Great election. For Artemis 3, in case people don't know, it's actually a test flight. So the original plan for Artemis 3 was actually to land on the moon. But instead, NASA has decided for the next flight, Artemis 3, we will rendezvous with the Human Landing System vehicles in low Earth or semi-low Earth orbit to prove that we can dock to those vehicles. So that's the current plan. So Artemis 4 is the next moon landing for people. Make sure people know. And then get ready for the 4th of July. I like that your enthusiasm. One of my friends bought me a 6-foot-tall Bucky with a happy 250th anniversary. So we'll see if that makes it in my front yard. Might be in the back. And then I just want to say thanks to everybody for this volunteers that are coming up that we're going to talk about today. So I really appreciate everyone that puts their time and energy into this community for the various things we do. So more of that to come, but thank you.
Haley?
I think we said thank you last month, but thank you again to Maria and Paul and everyone for the election efforts and all the volunteers, and congrats to Larry again for a clean campaign, and thank you for that. Just keep in mind it is still hurricane season, or we're in the beginnings of it, so I just want to keep that as a reminder to people, and I agree with the 4th of July decorations. One thing I did want to ask or bring up here is just the parade that we have and the route that we normally take, in some discussions or a word out there that it might be a different route. So I didn't know if we could get any updates here today on that matter, but that is all that I have.
Not much to allow. Mostly, I wanted to talk a little bit about fiber. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from citizens on the fiber in the community, and the installation process, saying it's very simple, half the price, and things like that. But then I hear today was the first time Frontier had an outage. So, so mostly positive feedback, really, across the board until today. You know, my own parents had it installed, and my dad walked me through the whole process. It looked like it was pretty simple. We were considering changing. We have not yet, but then there's that outage today. So I have heard of several people carrying both providers until they feel satisfied that Frontier is doing the job. Other than that, there are still areas in the city that need to be patched with grass, my own yard as well included. But then as soon as you say that, there's new paint drawn on your grass, and you think, am I next, right? So I don't know. Paul, can you give us an update, maybe when you do your city manager talk about what's going on? Because I think Robert was assigned to going around and making sure the grass was being filled in for citizens. I think there's also a lot of frustration, particularly on my street, where there's a lot of digging, and of course with all this rain, the mudslide coming down. I mean, I think one of my neighbors had just had their driveway like pristinely power washed, and now it's all mucky again. So, you know, some frustration there, but obviously the rain cannot be prevented. That's just an act of God. But, and then I'm excited about the 4th as well. And yes, I am also hearing rumors about this, you know, possible change in route. I'm a traditionalist. I like the traditional route. But I'm curious to hear any updates on that. And that's it.
I don't have anything further to add. Happy 4th of July.
There we go. I've got 2 things. I'll tag along with Haley around it being hurricane season. We're now past June 1st. And how's that? We're past June 1st. And if there's anything that concerns me more than anything is the amount of rain that we've had. The ground is very saturated. you know, if you have a tree that is near your house that even looks a little bit unstable with the soils as saturated as they are, they can blow over a whole lot easier, so just be careful. And I have to say again, is have a plan. You know, you get not a lot of lead time, and when a storm, you know, bears down on us, it is, that lead time is the difference between finding a place to evacuate or not. So please have a plan. And the other is I also want to give a shout out to the Nassau Bay Police and the Volunteer Fire Department for the work they did out on the Marine Patrol. I've had people comment on it that was very pleased to see that we're even doing some inspections and things along that line, and that it's making a difference. And I just want to say thank you, because I think people are pleased to see that being done, and I know it's not a fun job to do, but it's something the citizens really appreciate. And with the 4th of July parade, I've heard that they're looking at maybe trying to have something go through Swan Lagoon and Bell Harbor addition. It's just that would be a very long route, and I don't believe there's been anything finalized. I think they're still waiting on the special events to chime in. I haven't heard anything, but then I've been gone for the last 3 weeks, so I've been down in blue water. So I'll leave it at that. But in any event, those are my two comments. And again, thank you, police, thank you, volunteer fire department. You're doing a great job out there. I really appreciate it. Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. The hurricane flood preparedness community meeting went very well. They'll probably talk about that. We did get our 2 6-inch pumps that we get every hurricane season. They'll be dispatched if any lift station goes down or loss of power or just even heavy rain. We'll get our 2 pumps out there. And also we took delivery on our 500-gallon fuel tank for our first responders, city crew trucks. And then with all the rain, want to give a special shout out to the Public Works crew. These guys have been out there every weekend, I think for the last 3 weeks, making sure that the streets are getting pumped out. I won't talk about the fire department. Hopefully there'll be a good report on that. And then the Public Works cooking team took 10 out of 3 or 4 categories for 25 teams on the American Public Works Association cook-off competition. So we're getting a little bit better, Elias, on that. And then the banners, we have the banners up on Mass Road 1, the 250 more banners. Then we'll get them here in Saturn and throughout this whole area. And then last thing I had was late in this afternoon, actually met, Lewis, can you step up real quick? Happy to announce the new Public Works Director, Lewis. So we signed the paperwork, excited to have him come on board, looking for many years to work with you. I think he's going to do great. He's been interim for about a year, a little bit over a year, so pretty happy. So we got the new Public Works Director. Thanks, Liz. That's all I have, Mayor. Oh, Elias, we'll talk about the frontier grass.
Please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to note that while I was sitting here and noticing, except for the mayor, we got all females up here tonight running the show. Impressive. Very good. So real quickly, our numbers for May for the police department: 189 calls, 38 reports, 131 traffic stops, 29 citations, 96 warnings, 7 arrests, 5 were misdemeanors, 2 were felonies, a total of 3,673 patrol miles, and our average response time was 4 minutes and 8 seconds. Outside of that, the only other announcement I have is we are going to be holding a retirement celebration for Hank Hughes, Officer Hank Hughes, on Tuesday, June 23rd from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock here in the council chambers. So if you can make that, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. So thank you.
How many years do you have?
He's got 44 with the city, 42 with the police department. So yeah, impressive. It's going to be June 23rd, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock here in the council chambers. That's a Tuesday, yes. It'll be going up on our social media tomorrow, and then I'll get Sherry to post it over to the website also, so it'll be up there. So 2 weeks from tomorrow. Thank you.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. So for the month of May, your volunteer fire department ran 32 calls, and we still stand at 38 members. On the hours, we are now connected with the software vendor directly, and that is actually yielding really good progress. So we hope to have that whole issue resolved really soon. So, real quick, so also recently we sent a group of guys as part of the process when you are building a piece of equipment, the truck, with peers, that you go up to their Appleton factory and you basically do a deep dive of all the requirements, the blueprints. You look at everything they have on the line so you can get some ideas because you have a little bit of a contingency budget built in. Or you could say, hey, I don't want this, so then you get that credit back, but you say, I want this, so then you transfer it to that. So being able to go and know how we operate in Nassau Bay and infuse that with the engineers and the technicians at Pierce that are going to be building this truck to really make it unique to the city and exactly what we need was fantastic. So. And in the community, yep. So they were there for 2.5 days, 3 days. It was a rocket fast trip, but made a lot of really good progress. And then we've been reviewing that back in-house and making any of the decisions we need to make as a full fire department team. So I don't know if that's what you were alluding to, Paul, what you're looking for. Oh, the grants, yes. So Tom, help me out here. So we recently got a training grant for $10,000. Marshall Boyd, I need to give him credit. He put in for these grants. So we can use it on training equipment, and we've already have some things lined out for that, as well as just, like, one of the things is simple, but it's like a tent. You know, a lot of the fire departments have a canopy that has their logo and their city name on it. So when we go out and do PR events, we can also represent Nassau Bay. Those things like that fall into it, as well as pamphlets, brochures, things along those lines. So as well as equipment that we can use for our team. And then the other grant was how much? The $3,000 grant, yep, for the equipment, so. Oh, the 3,000, yeah, sorry. And then the 10,000, so training, yep, so.
And then, Matt, y'all have 3 new volunteer firefighters, right, that graduated from the academy, right?
We did. So one of the things we do, when I started in the fire department, and I'll be brief, we just got together as local fire departments in the area, and then that's how you get your state minimum hours. In order to go interior and destructive fire, the organization that we're under, the State Firemen's and Fire Marshals Association of Texas, mandates that you have to have so many hours, it's like close to 100 hours, of training, and there's like 3 hours in ladders, right? So they lay out the program. And we used to do that by going locally, and just all the departments we could get together, and you would do an academy, and that's how you'd crank out those hours and then be able to test with the state. Now we send our folks through College in the Mainland has a course. And so every year we put out for Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2, which are the 2 certifications that we seek through SFMA to do firefighting. We had, 4 guys complete Firefighter 1 recently. So big congratulations to them. We were actually recognized them last Tuesday. If you look at our fire helmets, the guys with the black shields are the ones that have completed that Firefighter 1. Orange shields are your rookies, and they're still going through the program.
That last question I
Yeah.
have is, for the construction that you're going to do to be able to house the other local truck, I guess.
Yes.
81 is
It's 83, so it's the old 1995, I believe, Pierce that we have, yeah.
when is too late to start it? Because we're going to be going through the budget process, looking at that financing. When do you guys really need money for that?
I'm going to defer to you, Tom.
October 1st, is it? Yes. Is it? So, say that again? It has to be constructed before December. Correct, before December. How long do you think that's going to take?
We have not even reached out to them yet. We
What
talked
do
to
you
them.
think, what do you think, Tom? 3 months? You think you can do it in 3 months? That's tight to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I think Jaime reported that the money will be in September.
Yeah.
So we'll start after that.
And that's what we were waiting for. So Tom has been working directly with Jaime, and they're in close contact, and as soon as the funds are there and ready to go, we're off for the races. We'll get it done.
And then y'all have a new name for the truck, right? The ladder truck? New name?
We have not named it yet, so.
Okay.
Tower 81?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
I want to interject on here, nothing to the fire department, you mentioned about grants. Sarah knows about this, is the funding for the 3 projects that we have for flooding infrastructure. We knew it had been approved, but now we know that the funding is imminent. It's actually at the Texas Water Board and things along that line. You may have some more information. But one of the projects that I'm extremely, and the council knows this is something I'm gonna really try to push, is the dredging of Lake Nassau. We wanna get the engineering study done so that we can have it on the shelf. I really hope we don't get a hurricane this season, but I want to have this on the shelf in case something does happen, that we have this project, because there's a lot of funds, as you know, Ralph, that if a hurricane hits and we have a mitigation project on the shelf, immediate funds get done, and that's what I want. So from that standpoint, I think you've started the process to look at the bids, be able to do that for next July, but we're gonna really try to push doing that, because I've heard again from a number of people that the hydrilla, the algae, that's really keeps coming back. And the only way we're gonna fix that is by dredging, and I really wanna be able to have a headboard where we can pull down at least 3 feet in front of storms so that we don't back up, so.
So Mayor, we're in the RFQ process, so I think August, we plan on coming back with a recommendation for the engineer.
Oh, in August now?
Yes, sir.
I thought it was in July.
Maybe July, we're trying to rush it.
Anyways, there's 3 grants there. There's the one for Lake Nassau. There's and upgrading the pumping stations there to 480 volt 3-phase. There's upgrading all the way up to on Upper Bay Road for 480 3-phase and the pumping systems there, as well as Gavon Lane. There's looking at putting in a new diversion pipe and take it off the coming down the main Lake Nassau, going out to Cal Bayou. So there's 3 engineering projects that we want to come up. So,
Yeah, I was going to mention, of course, Lake Nassau does need to be dredged really badly, but I did notice the aquatic, I don't think you mentioned this in your city manager report, but the aquatic vegetation guy was out there mowing the lake. And I mean, it's quite an incredible machine that he has, I will say. But I was talking to Paul about the possibility of maybe introducing some sort of fish that might eat this aquatic vegetation. It's called like a grass carp. I don't know if it's something, obviously we would have to research and make sure it's not going to kill every other thing, or maybe Jim knows something about it. Also, introducing new species is always a little dicey. So, but maybe there's a creative solution rather than paying this man to mow the lake every, 6 months. But
it's turning out to be about every 2 months.
yes, and I can't remember what we budgeted for him or what we've paid him the last time, but I mean, having him come out, I mean, he's just raking it in. I'm thinking I went into the wrong line of work because we are not the only person dealing with hydrilla.
We actually thought, there was, after we retired, you may have a business there.
Well, it's like Lake Austin. All these lakes deal with this. So I mean, he's just making a killing. But I mean, I'm not trying to take him out of work, but I'm saying if we can get a fish or something that could do the job, maybe that'd be more efficient.
I really want to see that lake return being, where people can actually truly swim in it, even if it's there, that it's actually something better than just a muck of mud. So, and I really want to make sure, because again, I'm belaboring on this, but every inch that falls on Nassau Bay, 3 to 4 inches of headspace ends up on that lake. So, we get a 9-10 inch rain, we're putting a huge amount of water on there. But we can only bring it down like 9, at most 12 inches down, at most, without causing a fish kill. So there's a lot of good reasons why this needs to be done. In any event, I apologize for that digression. Eugene, code enforcement.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Here are the numbers for the month of May. High grass 9, tree limbs and debris 3, dumpster and trash 2, no permits 2, certified letters sent out 11, warning notices issues 2. And I just wanted to say we've gotten a lot of rain here in the last couple of weeks. I am keeping an eye on the high grass, trying to give the residents, a little bit of time for this to dry out, and so we'll just go from there. So, y'all got any questions?
Anything on the Post office?
We'll get with them tomorrow. I had to get with them last month. I don't know what's going on with them. They were good when I first started here. But I'll get with them tomorrow and find out what's going on, and stay on top of them.
It's called Can Be, was what it did. It's not the post.
So, yeah, I'll talk to them tomorrow and find out what's going on. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I'll take that, Mayor. Yes, sir. Total calls was 104. Total patient transport, 63. Average response time in the city, 4 minutes, 52 seconds. Mutual aid to Webster, 7. From Webster to Nassau Bay, 5.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For our capital improvement projects, the 2024 water line project continues. To date, 17,900 feet of line has been installed. The water tower painting project has been completed and the tower is back online. For the water line project and the Frontier project, restoration is ongoing for both. So you can reach out to Public Works. Robert is in coordination daily with both contractors, so you can get those issues addressed. For the water department, we had 1,500 meters were read for utility billing. 2 meter tests were conducted this month, and both meters are reading accurately. A curb stop was replaced at 1711 Davon. For the wastewater department, preventative maintenance was conducted on the SO2 and CO2 tanks at the wastewater treatment plant, and new belts were installed on the belt press at the wastewater treatment plant. For the parks department, 10 concrete pads and benches were installed at David Brown Park. The concrete pad and dock at Founders Park were pressure washed. Sprinkler repairs and tree trimming continues around the city. For streets and drainage, the weed removal began, but it was delayed due to the rain last week. And the discharge lines at Stormwater Pump Station D were replaced. A new battery was installed on the John Deere skid steer. And facilities maintenance, the fence and bay doors at Public Works were power washed, and cleaning and maintenance was done at the Marriott Fountain.
Watching the lawns.
Yep.
Very true that there's still some good big patches of,
Okay.
Of dirt that has not been, I think, properly seeded.
Okay.
Keep an eye.
Yeah, we will.
And in certain parts of the neighborhood where there's been like mudslides, obviously, I know, I'm not sure the rain's going to break anytime soon. We're due for more this week. But if there's some areas where there's just so much mud and silt on the sides of the roads that when people pull into their driveways, they're just like totally getting dirt all over their driveways. So I know I think Paul talked to you about sending somebody out to like power wash or not hose, I guess, an area, but it's gotten bad again. But obviously, I understand wanting to wait until the rain's passed to deal with any of that. But maybe the grass patches will solve that problem.
That's why I said it.
You know?
It'll keep that erosion.
Right, right.
Yeah, we'll get them addressed.
The water tower, 1S or 2S? 2. Anything from special events?
I don't necessarily have anything from them. I was reaching out to Michelle Barecki with a bunch of comments that I had received from people in the past few weeks to let her know what was going on, at least what I was hearing. I think she said they're meeting this week, and so hopefully that's true. I don't know anything about the current parade route or what the real plans are, but I do want, if people come to you, tell them before they complain, have they volunteered yet? Because that's what Michelle would say to them. But seriously, I know we're going to go through this later tonight. There is a need for people to volunteer for special events if you look at what we have later in the agenda. And I think that the opportunity right now is really strong to get people to help make the 250th a great celebration of this country. So if people do want to volunteer, I'm sure there's plenty for them to do.
Yeah, and again, the only thing I've heard here, and I literally have just not heard a lot, is they're looking at how, being that it's the 250th, how can we have the most participation of everybody in the city? And that would mean trying to find some way to get Swan Lagoon and Bal Harbor involved. The concern I have is that makes the route that we keep up coming through the regular, or even without, it's gonna be a long route. It would be, and I had, particularly school, I don't know. So I really haven't heard exactly which way, but I salute both aspects. It's just, you know, office moves. Okay. Parks and Recreation.
That's what I was gonna compliment. Oh, my goodness. Paul, you outdid yourself, and Maria, I'm sure. Sorry, how did we go through here? Like that? Oh. All right, well, sorry. You did an awesome job. Which brings us to park. Good evening, everyone. We are going to make the city pretty, kind of gaudy, proud to be a part of this United States. Lovely. Where we are doing a rain dance for not rain. We are trying to get the pads in for the small dog park. The big pads are in to answer anyone's questions. Once the concrete pads are in, the benches are in, then Public Works will go back and put on the plaques for the benches that have been donated. I've been in contact with Canby and other individuals have all been contacted. We're on schedule for the tennis court shade covers. There hopefully will be in by the end of June. The adult exercise equipment. PO's been issued, they've been ordered. It should be here sometime mid to late July. Public Works, it's going to go in on the side of the pavilion, kind of in between the Bumblebee and the ADA merry-go-round. There's a big area there. If you go and stand there, and I went out with Public Works, it doesn't interfere with any pipes or any of their concerns. A parent can stand, exercise, watch, look all the way out to the playground with the blue covers. They can see all that area, the Bumblebee. You can even see your child walk all the way to the bathroom. So it seemed like a really good area. It's shaded, so mom or dad wouldn't have to, or even a teenager if they're watching them, wouldn't be sweating to use that piece of equipment. But it does give them the best ability to watch your child. And hopefully they're not watching you too close while you try to pull up. And they come and say, Mom, I got this. And so mine used to do that. Okay, the animal equipment's good. I did look, Sarah, almost everybody's electrical boxes in the greater Bay Area slant. There's just not too much, so you should be. I see people all the time stopping and taking pictures with them, so that's really, exciting. Yeah. Yeah, well, they're not on the same wavelength as we are, but and if they came out, they'd probably mess them up. But it made me feel better that I'm slightly slanted looking at other cities. So maybe everybody just thinks that's the way to project that beautification. Okay, of our end caps, I drove around tonight and they're just beyond scary. If we have a landscape company, you guys voted on that, we got them, we actually got a little lower than budget. That will go somewhere. But I reached out to them and I guess I might be out there pulling weeds or something because I can't stand it. As far as the redoing the end caps, we added Bow Harbor to it. That kind of threw them a little bit, so they came up with a rendition. They don't have a way on their computer, just so you know, to show I've lost it. Some of the flowers, some of them look like roses, but I'll explain that. But so we'll have that, a new proposal. I think you're going to be really happy, and it's going to show up and look really good. So I'm just waiting. We're kind of in line with all these other customers that they have. And then the solar lamps, I found out details I did not know about. We got a quote. I worked with them, got a little lower, so I sent the questions about details that I found out about, waiting on those answers, and we'll try to get this taken care of because it's a huge safety factor, and I don't know how much longer Sarah can go out there and dance. Just saying. A couple of things. You mentioned, Mayor, the trees. It's alarming how many people here have mulch up around the base of their trees, starting with down Nassau Road 1. When that mulch, you know all the rain we had, right now that is soaking into your trees, and it allows big boars, they're tiny, but they get in there and they eat the pulp in the middle of the tree. And then before you know it, you get a storm and the tree falls over. It looks healthy, you have no idea that there's anything wrong with it, but the whole center is dead. We've got to make it a huge effort to tell people to do what's called a mulch volcano. You take it and build it like high outside the tree and not touching the bark. All the yard people, they don't know, yeah. They have no idea, they're just told to mulch, and more. I mean, not just Nassau Bay, but everywhere. We're gonna be treeless. I mean, we really are. It's alarming, because once you look at it, you can't not see it. And they're piling it higher, and the next week they come out, they pile it more, and all these beautiful trees. I went to a wedding in Houston, and I was talking to people about the mulch volcanoes around their trees. I don't lose the thought. They were like, oh, somebody's getting married. I went, but the volcanoes, who's in charge of this yard? Anyway, that's just me. Does anybody have any questions? We've got a lot of projects. Oh, the astronauts. The astronauts, we got the PO. This is a really great company, so if you go and do anything with the World Cup, any of their soccer balls, this is the same company. They are meeting this week, today, I believe, and maybe tomorrow with Fort Worth. Fort Worth is getting like a 30-foot soccer ball. Austin's having them do a bird. Some other cities are doing butterflies, so it's a good company is what I'm trying to say. It's a reputable company. The other cities, big cities, are involved with it for the astronaut project. They had a big glove there, and Shipley's Donut is doing something, I guess, with the Astros, because they were going to impale a donut in the baseball glove. The way our season's going, that'll probably be a highlight. But anyway, it's sad. I don't even know the players when they're up there anymore. They're rotating in and out. You know, the Space Cowboys or the Astros now. Any questions at all?
I have a question about,
Sure.
Can you remind me what the change was in the benches in the dog park and adding the concrete pads and why we did that? Because someone reached out, I don't know if you saw that, to you and me, asking about that. So I couldn't recall why we had changed the benches.
They're gross. A good portion of them, they're the old green ones. They have no green on them anymore. I don't know. I'm surprised you'd be able to stand up because they're hideous. Okay? Those are going to go to hideous heaven wherever Public Works has that located. The brown ones that are good in the park, 2 of those will go over to Founders. Founders down by the water. You have the pier here. Right here, there's 2 benches. They sit like this. They are also hideous green. And that area was donated to a family member. So
the 2 green ones in the dog park and then 2 further down are what you're replacing for? Is that what?
No, we're replacing the whole, both dog parks.
Oh, both, okay.
Okay, but there's 3 brown ones there in the dog park that are good. They're the more modern, contemporary ones. Those are the style that's over at Founders. So to keep the aesthetics there, we're taking those horrible 2 green ones by the water in Founders and putting 2 of those brown ones there. So then the whole Founders will be the
Yeah.
same thing.
And the dog park is gonna have which ones?
It's going to have the wood-looking ones with the kind of squirrely arms. We're putting them on concrete because, you know, I'm sure the dog park people are down there today.
The dog park.
And sorry, keep going. The
Okay,
concrete.
so we're putting the concrete under them because I've been told it makes them ADA compliant. Someone can get out of a wheelchair, have sure footing. Today, the people who are down there are not sinking into muck, Texas muck. Doesn't come out of your shoes will squeak forever. I've been a teacher, been there, a parent. And so you've got sure setting on your feet, okay? It'll make it nice. The benches that are there are 6 foot. The committee voted for 6 foot. When I became chairman, I didn't know until they came in October, the beginning of October, they came in 4 foot. That's what was ordered. So, to try to make it right and fair, all these people have been down there numerous times. They like to sit. They come in the middle of the day. How, I don't know, but they love the park. They won't be sitting like pigeons on a telephone line, okay? They'll have two benches, kind of like this. Not facing each other, but like this, so they can look completely out into the middle of the park, see their dog, any dog. So they'll have 8 feet instead of 6 feet.
Okay, so you're replacing one 6-foot bench with 2 4-foot benches?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay? So they're getting extra 2 feet, they'll have some air, should be nice. I'll talk to you
And so
later
that's all
about
in progress
shades.
now but it's not complete yet? 'cause
The
we were talking
small
about it
dog
tonight, yeah.
park isn't, the big dog park is,
Okay.
but they've got to have less water muck to be able to lay the concrete.
Got it. Yep, okay, thank
So
you.
that's the plan, to
And the
make it
found-
so all of our benches will go to those 2 dog parks.
So Founders Park, the two, Gail, Newberry and Jim Edwards' wife, Joy Edwards, those benches are not being moved. The ones that face each other, the Canby Memorial benches
No.
that face each other. Because they're in very good shape. I mean, I saw them
Yeah,
very
we're
recently.
just replacing all the benches in the 2 dog parks.
Okay, so nothing's moving from Founders?
No, but.
You are bringing some?
No. Founders is staying exactly the same. It's
Okay.
all, well, there's one black bench there, the rest are all brown, but it's all that modern look.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna get rid of those 2 green ones and put 2 brown ones from the dog park over there. Then the whole Founders will all look nice. It'll all be the same bench,
Okay.
okay?
And I think you've been in correspondence with Colleen Etheridge about making sure that the memorial plaques are moved to the new benches.
Oh, yeah.
And families are notified
The
that the
whole
benches.
plan is, Kurt and I talk almost every day, multiple times, texting. He's wonderful, great job. Yeah, they're going to finish the concrete, put a bench on, do both parks. Once both parks have the concrete, the benches, then the plaques will go on, all at once. And speaking of plaques, we had a family here who asked for a plaque. They are using the bench that's over in Tranquility, just outside the Arbor. So we've finally gotten that all taken care of, and before very much longer, the plaque should come in, and we'll put that on. So it's actually one of Canby's benches, because there's 2 holes, so we had to get a bigger plaque. But that's the bench they sat on, so. I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions? No?
Any other questions?
No? All right. Well, I hope to be sending you these renditions very soon. Like I said, I added Val Harbor, so that changed the proposal some. But I think it's going to be beautiful enough. Trying.
Thank you, thank you. Maritime Safety Committee, I saw Brian emailed me something, I think he did it to everybody.
You want me to read it? I mean, I can read it.
Can you please?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Apologies for not being in tonight. I'm currently on the boat just outside of New Orleans. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, June 17th at 4 p.m. As I had stated last month, the no-wake zone for entrance channel to the cove that runs along the north side of the peninsula is being bypassed by folks who run outside of the channel and then cut in when they reach the end of the marked channel before heading towards the cove. We will review the ordinance as it currently exists and will look at ways to ensure that the intent and spirit of the ordinance is adhered to. Additionally, huge thanks to Mark Denman, who took advantage of the recent extreme high tides and removed an abandoned floating dock that was washed up on the peninsula last fall. It was identified back in November and had been tagged for removal during the Clear Creek cleanup. However, it was not reachable due to the tidal situation. Mark towed it to the finger piers on Upper Bay Drive and secured it for Elias and the Public Works team to remove it at their convenience. One of the plastic pontoon barrels separated from the dock, and it is up on the finger piers as well. I have attached photos of the haul for your reference.
It's still there, if I remember, I saw it coming.
It's like blue, a big blue can, it looks like, but,
But even the platform, that's still there.
and that's it.
Thank you,
Mhm.
appreciate that. And then moving on, now to the consent agenda. All matters listed under this items are considered routine by city council, will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussions of these matters. If discussion is desired by any council member on any item, then that item will be removed from the agenda and will be considered separately. We've got 4 different items here, so I have to read each one of these. Thank you, Counselor. A, consideration and possible action, approval in the minutes of the City of Nassau Bay, the joint EDC and City Council meeting, City Council regular meeting held on May 11th, 2026. B, consideration and possible action, approval of the minutes of the City of Nassau Bay City Council special meeting held on May 13th, 2026. C, consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to execute a 1-year extension contract for disaster debris monitoring services with Tetra Tech as the primary contractor and TLC Engineering as the secondary contractor. And D, consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to execute a 1-year extension contract for disaster debris removal and disposal services for TFR Enterprises, Inc. as the primary contractor and Series Environmental Services, Inc. as the secondary contractor. Does anybody want any of these pulled out? We're missing our Mr. Detail, so I'm assuming there are no edits.
Mr. Detail is in trial and he couldn't make it. He's busy working late.
Then if there's no further discussion here or any pulling out, do I hear a motion?
I'd like to move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Haley. So then I'm just going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Passes 5-0. Moving on to old business, the consideration and possible action. This is the second and final reading of the ordinance number 2026-0511-01, an ordinance amending the Nassau Bay Municipal Code, section 19-28, dealing with the areas where parking is limited or prohibited by additional streets or places to be designated areas where parking is to be limited or prohibited, and providing a penalty and for severability and providing for codification.
I don't have anything new from the last meeting, except for the fact that you wanted us to check with the 2200 building tech. And I did have communications with Kelly Buttram, who's with the Mission Companies, same property management that has 2100 building. And she's in agreement that it's not going to affect their parking situation over at that building. They have plenty of off-site parking along with the parking garage. So she has no problem with this.
Excellent. Any questions here? Did we have to go over this or? Thanks.
Right, thank you.
Then I need a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 2026-0511-01, an ordinance amending the Nassau Bay Municipal Code, section 19-28, dealing with areas where parking is limited or prohibited by adding additional streets or places to the designated areas where parking is to be limited or prohibited, and providing a penalty and for severability and providing for codification.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sarah. Any more questions or comments? Then I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Passes 5-0. Next is the council update. regarding boards and commissions, terms of office, and appointment process. I'm gonna throw a block for Maria just to make sure people understand we are not elevating people this time. This is basically communication for people on council on who has submitted, which ones are open. That's the process for any open positions or for the re-upping for the stagger will happen in July. So it'll be next month where we actually will finalize those terms. And Maria, I'm gonna come to your flank here a little bit. But, you know, if you remember, we said that we wanted to have a more detailed process here where, you know, again, we're doing all these all at once, aligned with the election. And we wanted to make sure people had applications in for these positions, which now you have in hand, correct?
Correct.
So what you see is what we have, okay? And you see any mistakes, get it to Maria, but I don't think there are. I think she's done a really good job here. And so for that standpoint, this is, and chime in here as you think appropriate, Maria, but this is to be able to have information for all on council, for all positions, for all vacancies, and all applicants for consideration. And that's pretty much set as of this point.
That's correct. There is one update to the list for the,
Put your,
yes, there is one change to the list of applications received from the incumbent board members. For the Board of Adjustments, Mr., let me get his name correct. John Hagan? Haugen, okay. On the roster where it shows that applications received from the incumbent members, his name is listed and it shows him as not having submitted reapplying, but he did reapply and it was on, after I had already compiled this packet, so just
so John's in.
additional information, yes.
Okay.
He's in, and the rest of them are pretty,
Just do me a favor for people, take a look at it, make sure if there's anything there, have something double check, because I don't want us to get into this process and be looking at it, because we really try to work hard to solidify what I like to call is just the rules to how we do these committees, because I think, again, just for the people in the audience, the process used to be each committee had to come up for renewal about every month. There's that many committees. And it was driving the city secretary's, office with all the notifications being done. It was just a work sink, and that was not how we wanted her to do her job, or to have those type of low value added type things, even though these are important. And that's one reason why we've changed the process, and this is the second year we've done this. But this is where we're actually really, really trying to solidify the rules as we had it done, so it has consistency going forward.
correct, yes.
I have a process question. I've been trying to just flip through them. I haven't made a list of who all the applicants are, and especially the new applicants. But what do we do if there is a committee or a couple, two or three, that don't have enough applicants to fill all of the open spots?
We would need to push it out more on social media.
Okay.
And ask specifically the chairperson of that committee to kind of reach out to the members or to try to recruit more people.
Do we want that to happen before the next meeting? Or would that be an after thing?
That may have to be an after
Okay.
thing that we.
And is that
work
something
on.
we could consider just giving the authority to those committees to fill vacant spots? Or not, would you not want to do that?
That would probably,
Because I think maritime safety, there were two that didn't reapply, and there was only one that I noticed that applied. Special events was in a similar situation.
Wouldn't
Yes.
delegate the authority.
So, okay.
My
So then-
view would be is that let's get through this process.
Yeah.
If there are holes, I think that's, however there is a solicitation either by chairs, committee people, the Compass Rose, Facebook, website, whatever, council people, that we then deal with that after our July. So it's just it's an augmentation rather than doing a deviation from our process. At least that's what my
Okay,
suggestion.
no issue there. I was just curious because it looked like we didn't completely match up on applicants in some
Correct.
areas.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments?
I have some little cheat sheets here. If y'all
Have
would like.
those not been distributed?
They have
Yeah.
not.
Let's pass
Okay,
that out.
thank you. It just makes it easier than that PDF.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else, Maria?
Nothing else, just, if y'all have any questions between now and the next council meeting, just, you could reach out to me, that way I can provide additional information, before the appointments in July.
And then, and so any other questions or, because this was only an update? No action?
Thank you. Honestly, I didn't even notice that you had a blatant list of new applicants. I was just reading through the applications. Now that I look at here, I realize it was there, so thank you. That's too many pages in the PDF.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'm working on those applications, they're really,
Laborious.
yes, that, and they're all different, so I'm trying to, make them more, simplified.
Yep. Any other questions? Then I'm gonna move on. Council update and discussion, acquisition, implementation of a police unmanned aircraft system, the UAS program.
Yes, sir. So Mayor and Council, I know last month we discussed a little bit about this. I didn't really have anything put together because we were still doing some research. So what I'm going to give you now is kind of an overview and my suggestions. The company we're looking at is Brink, B-R-I-N-C. And the reason we're looking at Brink, or we would be looking at Brink, is that Webster has contracted with Brink already for a drone as a first responder. This is a system that would be mounted somewhere on a roof or parking lot. It's got the nesting that the drone would return to and automatically recharges batteries, and it flies itself from there, depending on the calls for service that it's programmed to respond to. I'm not recommending that we get into the drone as a first responder. I think the number one is the limited volume of in-progress calls that we have here in Nassau Bay. It's not financially feasible because we're looking at $79,000 a year for that drone and that system. Being Webster's contracting with them for 5 years, their first year is a trial period. And I've talked to Chief Bacon, and Chief Bacon has assured me as part of their trial period, if there is a in-progress call in Nassau Bay that meets their criteria that they have set up for these drones, they're going to send that drone over here and utilize it, yes, as part of their drones. If they decide to go forward with years 2 through 5, they will probably opt to get a second system just for more coverage in their city. And at that point, he and I have talked about looking at subcontracting with them like we do similar for dispatch. But we'll have to look at that. In the meantime, there's some options that we can look at, and that would be a responder drone. These are drones that are in a package in the car. Officers can take it out, set it up, and fly it from a unit or wherever the case may be. And there are 3 different options that Brink offers. First is a responder operations bundle. This is us buying a drone, controller, the attachments, 2 batteries, and provides us for 1 year of live ops, which is the software for Brink Company. When we do that, we buy the drone, it's ours, we own it. There's no rebills, there's no re-ups or anything, it's year to year. That would be $32,999 or $33,000 up front. And then for years 2, 3, 4, et cetera, the renewal for the live ops software is $7,500 per year. So again, it's not inexpensive. The second level is the Responder Safeguard Light, has all of the similar, that the Responder Operations Bundle has, with unlimited repairs and up to 3 full airframe replacements. So if we crash it, we get a new drone. With that, the current camera in that drone will be upgraded when available if there's new cameras that come out. The batteries and the prop motors replaced when needed. That's a 3-year term, and it includes live ops for the entire term, the software. The yearly cost is about $20,000, so we're looking at about $60,000 over 3 years. The next level up is the Responder Safeguard, and that's all of what we've talked about already. Unlimited aircraft replacement and repairs. That would include a hardware refresh every 2.5 years. So we'd get a new drone. Camera would be upgraded again when available. That yearly cost is $28,000, so a 5-year contract is $140,000 for those drones. So that's the financial side of it. There's some other aspects that we need to look at. The additional requirements for us as a department is training of officers to receive the FAA license. If we don't have, I think I explained before, if we don't have a pilot on duty at the time, that drone doesn't fly. Very similar to a K-9 unit. If there's one handler for that K-9, and if they're not on duty, the K-9's not available. So we have to keep that in mind while we're looking at the costs. There's a development of policies and procedures and training that's going to have to happen for whoever, if this was to materialize. And then there's also some of the statutes under the Texas Government Code. The use of unmanned aircraft is very highly restricted by the statutes in Texas. Some of the things that it is lawful to capture an image using an unmanned aircraft in the state, there's a number of different options. Has to do with pipeline maintenance, real estate, those type of things. But when we get into law enforcement operations, we can operate and use the drones in that purpose for the consent or with the consent of an individual who actually owns the property. So somebody gives us permission to fly over their property and capture images, or pursuant to a valid search warrant or arrest warrant, obvious. In immediate pursuit of a person that law enforcement has reasonable suspicion or probable cause to suspect has committed an offense. However, not including misdemeanors or offenses punishable by fine only. So we cannot use it in pursuit or to gather information for city ordinances or Class C misdemeanors. For the purpose of documenting a crime scene where an offense, again, not including misdemeanors or offenses are punishable by fine only, has been committed. For the purpose of investigating the scene of a human fatality, a motor vehicle accident with causing death or serious bodily injury, any motor vehicle accident on a state highway or federal interstate, in connection with the search for a missing person, for the purpose of conducting a high-risk tactical operation that poses a threat to human life, or of private property that is generally open to the public, where the property owner consents to law enforcement, public safety responsibilities, surveying the scene of a catastrophe or other damage to determine whether a state of emergency should be declared, so after, say, hurricanes or storms, preserving public safety, protecting property, and surveying damage or contamination during a lawfully declared state of emergency, conducting routine air quality sampling and monitoring, as provided by state law and local laws, at the scene of a spill or a suspected spill of hazardous material for the purpose of fire suppression. So the fire department would be able to utilize the drone, and it does have thermal imaging on it, for the purpose of rescuing a person whose life or well-being is in imminent danger. So those are the restrictions that we have utilizing any of the drones. The other caveat is that there's reporting that's required to maintain all of this parameters that we have. So if we have a drone and we use it, we have to keep records, we have to keep tracks on everything. And then before January 15th of each odd number year, the law enforcement police department would have to issue a written report that goes to the governor, the lieutenant governor, and each member of the legislature. And the report has to retain, or we have to retain the report for public viewing, and it has to be posted on our portal, website, or our law enforcement agency's website. And the report must include the number of times an unmanned aircraft was used, organized by the date, time, location, and the types of incidents and the types of justification for the use, the number of criminal investigations aided by the use of the unmanned aircraft and how it was aided, the number of times an unmanned aircraft was used for law enforcement operation other than criminal investigation, and those dates and locations and operations, the type of information collected on an individual, a residence, a property, or an area that was not subject of law enforcement operation, and the frequency of the collection of this information, and then the total cost of acquiring and maintaining and repairing and operating for the previous 24 months. So there's a lot of reporting, there's limitations that we have by state law. So my suggestion would be that we look at this as part of the budget process, because there's going to be some other requests that, obviously we have in the budget process. And this is these are some big numbers to look at. So that would be my suggestion.
I mean, I've been pretty vocal about this before. I'm not a big fan of the drone idea because we have such a quick response time in this little city that we have, and I think that the immediate emergency response drone, in a city like Houston where you're an hour from Katy to downtown and things like that, where response time is slow, makes a lot of sense. I know the mayor has argued that we're going to have Margaritaville and there's going to be some more action, more boat traffic out there, but I think that is a bridge you cross when you get there. I think that's something you see the development through, you see what kind of traffic you get, you kind of see what you're dealing with, and then you can kind of make the decision to make this big, take on this big expense. But it is a very large expense to have the auto response drone. It also, I'm always like, don't Houston my Nassau Bay, okay? We live in Nassau Bay. There's beauty in that, It's a charming small town by the water. And if we start having drones hovering over our head, it's not going to feel the same anymore. So I understand the idea behind it with Margaritaville and the thought there, but I also think that they should probably consider chipping in if they're going to, expect this kind of, drones dropping things in boaters' hands or whatever you want them to do. But the other drones make a little more sense to me, the other ones you're talking about. But again, this is a brand new technology that the police force are going to have. It sounds like it comes with a heck of a lot of, after you've used it, it comes with a lot of documentation, which sounds, really onerous. So I think it's definitely something we have to tread, carefully walking into something like this, because our website isn't even what we want it to be. We can't even live stream properly. There's so many technological things that I think we need to get accomplished in this city before we start deciding we need the police force to learn how to an entire drone system. Let's baby steps. Let's master this, and then we can take on a big project like a drone response. I mean, that's my personal opinion. And that's coming from the former prosecutor.
One of the things is I was actually very pleased with the different options. And, some of those were actually quite economical. When you look at the cost associated with a lot of other things that we do, we're up in the, multiple hundreds of $1,000s for street repairs and let alone ladder trucks or things along that line. I mean, one of the things I've always thought really makes Nassau Bay is that we do things first class. And I use the volunteer fire department. We give the best tools, we give the best training, and we have a esprit de corps that allows for excellence. And that's how you differentiate yourselves from being Houstonized. Houston, we actually became a city to try to keep us from being like that we wanted to be able to have all the things to be able to have a small town, Mayberry, and the best tools, because the median Houston approach just doesn't work. It's for mediocrity rather than for excellence. So I really appreciate what you did there, and some of those I agree. I don't think we need a Taj Mahal, but I believe that the marine area, I believe just in some of these response, particularly for catastrophic things where you're needing to make sure people don't come in to vandalize or to be able to steal from homes after an event where the tidal effects have made it easy for people to come in. We've had that before. Just to be able to have that surveillance and have that is really, its time is that technology is now available to us. So I appreciate those options. I think there's some really good meat to what you did there, Chief.
Okay, the other thing we have to understand is the limited number of personnel that we have on the street at any one time. So if we have 2 officers working and we have one person who's tied up with a drone, that gives me 1 officer on the street. So again, there are some other caveats that we need to look at other than just the cost of the drones. We need to be able to look at operational and effective operation of them if we had one.
Thank you, Chief, for bringing this information here. I do have a couple of questions. So as far as the reporting that would come after the use of it, the type of software that we would get with these drones, does it have that reporting capability to make the administrative burden lesser, or no?
I believe it does,
Okay.
and that would be something I'd have to check with Brink and see exactly what that that software. But I think that's part of the reporting process is the recording. And there's a retention of, if there is video recorded, there's a retention period built into that software. We'd have to build out again to match policies and procedures to match state law, and then that would match up with the software product.
Okay. I also am not necessarily fully on board with the drone situation, but that aside, let me go back to your comment about Webster. You said that they will, in the first year, help support with their drone activity over here, right?
Right, and again, I don't know what their policies are going to be built and exactly what, the drone as a first responder is built, the system's built out that, let's say there's a burglary in progress. Then when dispatch puts that information in the computer system, because Brink matches up with the Motorola Premier One system that we're working off of.
Okay.
When that goes into the system, then the drone knows this is one of the preset, and it takes off and it flights and it goes overhead. Not every call for services are those drones going to be going out.
Of course, yeah.
There's going to be a small, I'm sure, I haven't talked to Chief Bacon and I don't know, in fact, they've signed their contract, I think, earlier this month or last month with Brink.
Uh-huh.
It's 4 months out. They're not even going to have that system till October.
Okay.
But once they build out, they're going to have a set criteria of when it flies and when it doesn't fly. It doesn't fly just all the time.
Sure.
Because then when you do need it for one of those calls, the batteries, you've got 10 minutes left on your battery and you can't fly.
Yeah.
So what does the drone do when it gets there and the burglary of a habitation is going on in progress?
Dispatch will have some pilots that are trained in the dispatchers will be able to see, and they can radio to the officers what they're seeing on the ground. If they have a burglary in progress, they can give them a description of somebody.
Somebody on foot.
So it's a communication tool for officers?
Yes, it's a communication tool.
And if Webster were to fly over the drone in our area, does the burden of reporting stay with Webster, or does that burden of reporting, it comes with us?
I believe that's going to stay with Webster for this first year.
I think I really like what you just said there at the beginning, was if there's a way which we can pull, it makes the sense for all of them, if we can.
If we can. And that's a discussion that Chief Bacon and I have had and started, of course. They've got to wait and see what first year brings. They may decide that, it's not feasible and, and that may be the end of it. If they decide to move forward, then obviously we're going to have deeper discussions than just Chief Bacon and I about subcontracting.
I'm sure there'd be a cost savings, cost sharing somehow.
Yeah, very similar to what we have with the dispatch communications.
Lastly, I just want to say, I don't know that it's maybe not the right year to have the budget discussion for this. I sort of agree with Sarah in the fact that we should sort of iron out some of the things we don't have yet, and you're going to have other budgetary requests, right? But I want to be mindful during the budget process to make sure we're accounting not just for the hardware and the software and all this stuff, but the people, to your point. If we're going, sorry, Sarah, if we're going to go down the road of needing extra hands to run this stuff, that needs to be part of the budget discussion as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I personally like the emergency response aspect of it. I'm thinking back whenever Hurricane Ike came and my grandma lived on Windward, and there was no way for anyone to know what the situation was between where you can no longer pass on Upper Bay all the way down to that part. So my cousin, thinking about it now, was obviously really stupid and dangerous, but waited all the way from Upper Bay Road all the way down and had no way to be warned or told of any kind of conditions, even though he was on the road, what that looked like. So, and I know that's not that's a different type of response, but I do think something like that, having that capability of that would be really useful in those kind of situations.
I think we could get a drone like that for the police force that would cost far less than some of these, options with, these yearly renewals and things like that. You can just get a drone like Chris Wilkie has and manage something like that.
Those type of drones don't have the software for the recording of the flights and the time and everything else that we would need. And that's part of the package is the software. And in the typical drones, the hobby drones, like the DJIs, they have about 15-minute battery life. These are running about 45 to 50-minute battery life. So it is a more expensive product, but it's.
I mean, I heard you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, for the 3-year one was about $20,000 a year.
For the 3 years.
As an example, I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to hold anything to that.
Yeah, that's 3,300 for the 3 year.
For the 3-year.
The 3 years.
$20,000 a year.
Yeah, it's about 60,000 total. So.
Yeah.
Plus the training of a operator, you'd have to include, yeah.
Yeah, and there are going to be some other requests that, that are going to be in line with Dave Ross's 65 North group, that recommendations that we're going to have to look at during the budget also.
And I'm agreeing from a standpoint of saying from, having a nest, having our own nest for our own purposes probably is a little bit of an overkill. And the
Absolutely,
cost.
absolutely.
But having something that you could pull out of a trunk or something along that line. I'm also very cognizant of the manpower with the big boat for the volunteer fire department as ways to make sure we're not taxing that side for, looking at citations and things along that line. That has an appeal from that side too.
Yeah, again, we're going back to the statute that this can't be used for misdemeanors or fine-only offenses. So, we kind of limit ourselves in some of the things that we can use it for, so. But that's what I have for you.
Real quick.
Sure.
Just want to say, great job, deep dive, a lot of good information. When will we start the budgetary process? Do we have dates on that yet? When we're going to start? July, August?
Jaime's already sent out to the department heads.
Okay.
What he wants back from us. I don't think he set any dates yet.
My understanding is in July, when we sit here, he'll have a
Calendar. Okay.
And asking for feedback for folks, and then there's obviously gonna be days we're gonna have to have the workshops that are undefined, other than to say certain, like if you remember, like we did last time, we kind of agreed what dates we wanted, what days of the week we wanted to do, and kind of knocked it out every week or every other week for a while. Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, so up until, I think, the end of the month, we'll have projections. Jaime's going to be working on projections, and then any new item requests, CIPs from the department heads, and then me and Jaime sit together. Then he puts together a whole budget process, and then we come to council for our workshops.
All right, thank you.
Good work, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay. I believe that leaves one last, or any other last questions for Chief? Then I'm gonna move on to new business, which is the consideration and possible action regarding the election of the mayor pro tem. I would hope that folks would continue to have Lucy as mayor pro tem. And if she's, I think, done a really good job, and it's somebody I would like to see stay as mayor pro tem. So if you're willing, and if somebody would do a motion, I would appreciate that.
Definitely willing. I think we work well together, so, yeah.
Okay, motion for consideration and possible action regarding the election of Mayor Pro Tem.
It's for Lucy
Sommer.
Johanna
Yeah,
Summer.
thank you.
And second by Ashley. All those in favor? All those in favor? have nothing. I'm going to now move into executive session. The city council will now hold a closed executive meeting pursuant to the provisions of chapters 551, the Texas Government Code, in accordance with the authority contained within, that is one section.